on my Facebook feed. So I'm checking on the feed to make sure that we are live, everything is fine, and we can start straight away. So let's see. Just a second. I always hate these awkward
that's
moments,
fine. I will use this pause for drinking my coffee.
Yeah, do that. Okay, I just don't think I can hear us. So if anyone is watching, I see one person is watching. Can you drop a comment, please, and say if you can hear us? Because somehow I don't. I don't know why. So let's just hang on.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Everything is fine. Sorry about that. So we can start straight away. So hello, everyone. I sort of made a little bit cheesy headline introducing you, Steve. So basically, I just wanted to provoke curiosity out there. So I mentioned that I'm going to talk to a person who fulfills millionaires' dreams. So, and apparently, if millionaires come to you to fulfill their dreams, it's definitely worth watching who you are and find out more about you. Okay, so I know that your journey has not been straightforward. So you had your bumpy roads and you ended up where you are completely unexpected. I mean, it wasn't really planned. It wasn't a structured business plan where you went to. It wasn't a passion you followed. It wasn't all these, standard stories that usually people tell about huge failures and then depression and then, enlightenment and all that stuff. So can you briefly tell me how it all started? How did you end up where you are now? Because apparently you couldn't plan it because there was no such thing that you're doing now.
So it's basically like a plot from a very cheesy Hollywood movie. I started off as a bricklayer in East London, tried to become a stockbroker, moved to Hong Kong because I wanted a job as a stockbroker. I lasted one day, then became a doorman. And then started doing parties on yachts and penthouses to try and network into rich people. And before you knew it, I became the guy that people would say, hey, where's the best bar? Where's the best restaurant? Can I get this? Can I get... And without planning it, I went from a bricklayer to arrogantly the world in Leeds concierge and Wizard of Oz for those with money and dreams. So that's the short version of it. And you're right, there was some bumps, you can put it discreetly, but anyone that goes forward stubs their toe every now and then. So, yeah, I got some pain in my life, but that's what makes us who we are.
Oh, it's interesting because in university, where I studied, I did majors in finance, and I too wanted to become a stockbroker. So after graduation, I came back to Armenia, and guess what? There was no stock market back then. So apparently, I'm happy that's how it turned out, but it was really interesting that we sort of ended up wanting the same things. Okay. So okay, interesting. I mean, tell me about, so you basically, can I say that you had just one single day of corporate career?
I probably in my life maybe had 5 spread over 10 years, because I seem to think it was a better idea than an actual function. So I would go there and either they would fire me or I would go, I don't like this. And, I think I had a couple of jobs that maybe lasted like 5 months when I was a youngster. But no, my life was very scattered and all over the place.
Okay, I see. So you mentioned networking with people and having people later on come to you. I think that this is a very personality-based type of thing. So what do you think? What character is there that sort of, made people come to you and made it very easy to network and interact with them?
I was unintelligent and uneducated, and therefore unthreatening. At the time, no, that's very serious. At the time, I was a bricklayer from London that was working on a door, throwing parties and inviting affluent people, but also making a password on the door, so that when you got someone that was too arrogant to actually say the password, me being the doorman, I wouldn't let them in. Because if you don't have the humility just to have a little bit of fun before you go into the party, you don't deserve to be in the party. So it was just in my head that I thought I only want cool people inside that party. And that was the first thought I had. Then as it kind of grew, I found people speaking to me because I wasn't trying to outdo them on what watch I was wearing. I wasn't trying to outdo them on what Ferrari I had pulled up on. I'm an ugly kid from London that rides around on motorcycles. So I was no threat to them. Now, this is where one of my bumpy roads, as I got more and more successful, I bought a car. And, you know, I started buying expensive watches and and I noticed that as I thought I was becoming more successful, my finances was going down because people were suddenly started becoming a little bit wary of me and the shield of who I actually was. So I actually knocked all that off. I sold the car. As you know, I only have motorcycles, still ugly from East London, and just very approachable. So I think the first thing you've got to realize is be you, because if there's any element of you that is not 100% authentic, you pretend to be more educated, you pretend to be more articulate, you pretend to be more well-groomed. Anything that you pretend sends off a vibe, and that vibe goes to the other person as confusion. So they look at you and they go, I'm not getting a 100% read here, and no one does no one does any business with anyone that they get that slight read on. So if you're not intelligent, don't try to be more intelligent. Just be who you are. If you're not, the smartest, tool in the shed, that's fine. Just be you. You'll get a lot further. And luckily I did. So now I've got the credibility as well as just being 100% raw who I am. And there's enough people in the world for me to get on with people who I like and still be highly successful.
Yeah, I totally get your point. And I do believe that being yourself is the right strategy, because if you're pretending, first of all, you will get tired of it sooner or later, and it will feel like a job playing a role, especially if you're not a good actor. That can be really daunting. Yeah. And second, I think, especially the people you are working with, the celebrities, the rich people, the famous people, they have so many others around them who pretend and who try to impress, that probably they're really sort of tired of the whole thing, because everyone is a bit trying to impress and leave the right impression that they think they should leave, etc., etc. So I guess that's interestingly enough, these days being yourself is pretty unique.
Well, if you're successful in business, you have about 200 people that are working for you that all laugh at very unfunny jokes. So you're full of a load of people that are blowing smoke up your backside. With me, I'm always first name terms with absolutely every client. We got royal clients, we got the rich and famous, we got the richer and unknown. But we actually communicate with absolutely every client as Bill, Bob, Ted, Susie. And we work on that level. And if your joke's not funny, we're not going to laugh at it.
Okay, yeah, I totally get that. So probably the fact that everyone does need a genuine human relationships do work, because that's what you're basing your connections on. Okay, so people started coming to you. You started giving them advice about which club is best, where to go, what to eat, what to drink, etc., etc. And now you had the network in place. You were known in that niche. How did it develop to something much bigger like Bluefish?
Well, Bluefish, funny enough, was one of the passwords. So we used to let them know where the party was. And at first the party started off in bars or in the back of a restaurant. And then we took over a penthouse on a yacht. And we had, we used to, as I say, always have this password. And the passwords were always stupid, because I always found them very funny. They used to be a little giggle for me to have 200 people turn up and say something silly. So we used to say things like, name two of the Teletubbies, name the lion out of The Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe. And the other one was finish this sentence, one fish, two fish, red fish. So we used to rotate between those three passwords. And then eventually someone actually contacted a bank that I was working for. I actually did a party for a lot of banks and jet charter companies and these luxury brands because I was able to put a very simplistic but fun event on.
So for all those stockbrokers that you didn't become one.
For all the people that wouldn't employ me were now covering my party. So I did find that ironic. But I remember this. I got called into a bank once, and I was in Hong Kong. I got called into a bank, and they sat me down, and I actually told my wife, "This is it. I've been called into this bank. This is the day they're going to give me the job because they can see how good I am with people." And I walked into the bank. We had a cup of coffee, and the guy went, "We've got this princess, and she wants Bluefish to do a birthday party for her." And I sat there with my coffee going, okay, trying to work out what the hell that had to do with me. And he turned around and he went, "Well, you own Bluefish, do you? Don't you?" And we didn't have a name of our company. So I was like, "No." And they were like, "But they were at your party 2 weeks ago." And then it clicked that it was the password of the party. And that's how it all grew. So we did this princess's birthday party. And then people were saying to us, "Hey, I want to do this. I'm going to Monaco with Formula One. Have you got any connections?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, sure I have." And then I'd try and go and find the connections. So there was some early blagging in the early days, but I would never let anyone down. There were many times when I would charge someone 10 grand and the actual fee, the cost was like 15. But the way that I looked at it, and thankfully my wife looked at it, was I just paid 5 grand for that education. Okay. So there was a number of times when I had badly invoiced, badly planned. I always delivered, but there were many times in my younger career, should we say, where it suddenly kind of bit me in the arse and I was like, hell, I forgot about that price, or hell, I forgot about that. So, that just paid for my education and what not to do.
Well, I mean, I can totally get that because you're getting completely non-standard requests. So it's not like you do know how much it costs. You have the ready bill and you just send them an invoice. So every time something else comes up and it's pretty interesting. So, so what is it there? Do people come with their bucket list and dreams and things that they wanted to fulfill since many years? Or do they come and say, okay, just surprise me, impress me, tell me what you can come up with?
Well, it's changed. We're a fee-based concierge firm that does things like travel, restaurants, the regular kind of concierge stuff. We never book anything less than 5 stars. So we are of that level already. But most of our business is clients that come to us and go, look, it's my 50th, it's my 40th, and I'm a mad fan of Sting, or I'm a mad fan of Formula One Ferrari, or I've always wanted to visit the Titanic, or what could you do with Halle Berry? You get all of these people that will come to you. We've found that if it's a new client, like if there's someone out there now, that is listening to this and goes, hey, I want to get my bucket, they will over-explain. So they will contact you and they will go, oh, I've always wanted to do this, on this, with this, and that happens. And they will over-explain things. And then we'll just ask, we'll try to bore it down and we'll go, well, hang on, will that make you happy? Will that kind of wake you up at 2 o'clock in the morning all excited? Is this the kind of thing that you're never going to shut up about to your friends? Do you actually come? And usually you find that people, they see something really exciting, but then there's a hidden flow, an undercurrent that really wants something to happen. I'll give you a perfect example. A client of mine was, again, it's in finance. When he was at college, he was very poor, like every college student. And he lived on the sofa, and he was the lead singer in the rock band Journey. They had a cover band, and he was the lead singer for this Journey cover band. Fast forward like 30 years, he's now a top CNBC financial commentator, not sleeping on his couch anymore. And he contacted us through Richard Branson because he wanted to meet Journey. So I said to him, why do you want to meet them? And he went, oh, because my life started like this. And I didn't have money, but the music kept me going and this. I said, so let me get this right. You've got such a strong connection with this band for like 30, 40 years. Just shaking their hand backstage one day, that's going to complete it. That's going to complete your cycle. You're done. And he was like, well, I'd like maybe to do a little bit more with it. And so we suddenly realized we got that undercurrent because a lot of people don't say what they mean. they say what they think you want to hear. So what you've got to do is you've got to be able to listen to what's actually being said, analyze it, become a therapist, and work out what it is they actually want. So what we did was we chatted to the guy. We heard about this story. We heard about the underlying current. We found out about how powerful it was to him. We went to Journey. We put him on stage in San Diego, and he sang 4 tunes as the temporary lead singer of the rock band Journey, with the entire band, with all of the lasers, smoke machines, and everything. So he's now the shortest termed lead singer of the rock band Journey. But now that's a full cycle. That's a completion. That's a closed chapter. So you've got to board down. Now, if we've done something pretty fantastic for a client, then the emails get really short. Then you get someone like, Steve, I've always liked John Travolta. What can you do? And that's when you start getting the shorter emails. So the first email is usually the long, big biography. But once they've done it a couple of times, if people get the chance to do their bucket list things, and you also find out it's a bit like a Pandora's box. A lot of people sit out there and they sit on their chair and they watch the TV and they see Tom Cruise walking the red carpet and they see the New York Fashion Week and they see, Formula One, and they turn around and convince themselves that they can't do it. That's not for me. I could never live that life. And they're right. The second they tell themselves that, they're correct. But for those people out there with balls and actually willing to get out there and live life, they reach out to people like us. And when we do it once, then they go home and they go, I did that. What's the next thing I want to do? And what's the next thing I want? And that's when the fun clicks in. And then all of a sudden, be careful what you wish for, because it's going to happen.
Okay, so then I have this question. Let's say I'm getting similar requests, for example. Obviously, I can't fulfill them. So how did you end up with these strong connections? Or, how do you know in advance that you can actually make it happen? And, how did it all started? Like, okay, I want to do something with John Travolta. How do you go from there?
For a start, you're right and wrong, and I'm kind of very, very amazed to hear those words from you. I'm trying to work out, by the way, who's got the sexier accent? Is it me or you? So I think
British always win. So
does it? Well, you look slightly more attractive than me, so I don't know. You may there should be a poll below, But the fact is, being this ugly. And bearing in mind, I class myself now at the ripe old age of 51. I class myself as an educated man, but school had nothing to do with that. So as I got into this industry, I was uneducated. I remember someone asking me, and I quoted it earlier, someone actually asked me about going to Monaco. I had to go back to my apartment and look at where Monaco was, because I had no idea. I'd never heard of it before. So that's how bad I was.
But you already told that you'll make it happen?
I said, let me get something sorted. I'll look into it. And so I left it open like that. But once I started to kind of get into it, I'm like a bulldog. I don't let things go. If I say I'm going to do something, it's done. You can guarantee that. But I'm actually, I don't want to do a shallow pitch of my book, but I'm doing a book called Blue Fishing that comes out in October. And the reason is because, quite simply, you're wrong. You can do absolutely everything that I do. And all you got to do is, and you mentioned it earlier, we spoke about it earlier, have a relationship. Now, people think just because you go on LinkedIn or just because you go on any of these other social networks that are popping up every 3 seconds and you friend someone, that all of a sudden you and Elton John are best mates.
Which is so wrong. Yeah.
So delusional. I class someone as a friend, someone that I can sit down and I either know they like tea or coffee, they like healthy breakfasts, their birthdays around this period of the year. I don't have to know everything about them, but I need to know a few things about them, and that's what I class as a friend. The rest of them are just pals. They're just social connections. But to turn that connection from a like to a relationship, you've got to invest your time. So if there is a situation, as you were saying, that a celebrity comes or someone comes to you and says, hey, I want to meet this celebrity, have to have an authentic character. You have to be direct with them, and you have to speak to them and find out. And this is the key. This is the key. What's in it for them? So if you want to get hold of a celebrity, if you want to get hold of a famous person, if you want to get into an event that you haven't been invited to, find the person that makes the decision. And if you find someone that doesn't give you the decision you want, find someone else and keep going until you get the decision you want. But as soon as you go to them, you know what's in it for you, but what's in it for them that makes it impossible for them to say no to you? And this could be like, I hear you've got a new book coming out. I would like to promote that book to my following. Could I have you on my show? I know you support this charity. Can I promote this charity to my following? Can I make a donation to that charity? So you've got to go to them and quickly, within the first 3 seconds, tell them, hey, thank you for taking the time. I want to talk about how I can benefit your book, how I can benefit your charity, how I can benefit your exposure. You've got Journey. Here's a perfect example. Journey were just about to go on tour. So when I approached them, I said, look, this is a feel-good story that is going to be another way of showing that Journey are back on the road. We're actually going to be able to talk about this story. And hey, if you're a fan of Journey, they may be in your town soon. Look, so we gave them another reason to be able to do it. Now, there was money as well involved. There was also a charity involved because one of the members' son has autism. So we brought that charity in. So we gave them exposure for our tour, exposure for our charity, and a little bit of money. So, you've got to go in there with what's in it for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very glad you said that, because very often people are asking, like, how do you manage to get big names on your show? How do you get connected, etc.? And the problem is everyone is looking for a magic button, for a ready template, for something that you can copy and paste and send out as an email. But that's exactly how it's not working, because you do have to do your homework. You do have to look at each person individually, separately, and come up with your own way to approach them, and all the ways will be completely different because all these people are different as well. So I'm really glad you said that.
And they have to be different, because you're right. If someone sends an email to a celebrity and says, "Hey, this email works," then you can guarantee within the next 24 hours that person's getting 500 of those emails, and now no longer it works.
Yeah, and it may work with you, but if the same thing is done by someone else, it may not work. So it's not, by doing the same thing, different people get different results, no matter how illogical it sounds. But that's how it is, especially in where a personality and human relationship is involved. So everything you're doing is heavily based on human skills, on people's skills. Do you think it's something that can be learned, or it's something that a person either has or doesn't have?
I think it's something that can be unlearned. And I think that's where we're all going wrong. Now, you think of it as a child. Now, I've got 3 children, and I like most of them. And I remember when you go to school, and I remember this at school, you would go in the playground and there'd be Susie here and Billy here and Roger here, and I don't want to talk to Roger because I don't like Roger. Now, the first thing that happens is the teacher goes, "Don't be nasty to Roger." Now, you may just have not wanted to play with him because, Billy and Susie are there, but you're suddenly diluted from a young age that, no, you can't do that. You've got to go and play with Roger. I don't want to play with Roger. Nothing's wrong with Roger, but people resonate with different people, okay? Yeah. There are 30% of the people in the world that will say yes to absolutely everything that you say to them. There are 30% of the people in the world that hate you no matter what. They will never touch you. There's a massive divide in the middle should you want to conquer it, but just calculate how many millions of people that 30% is that you will just instantly resonate with.
Yeah.
Now, I only employ friends. I only take on friends as clients. Now, this is a very, very key factor here, okay? If there's someone in your life that you don't like, imagine the gut feeling you have when you know you have to phone them this morning, okay? No one likes to phone people they don't like. So whenever we take on a new client, literally I chat with that client and I try to work out, is this person cool? Do I like this person? Would I like to hang out with them? I did a video called the Chug Test on would I sip a whiskey with this person? Very primitive, but would I hang out with that person? No. Sorry, sir, we don't have any space for you at the moment in Bluefish. But if one pops up, we'll let you know. You're gone.
Okay, so if you hear that, people, you know that Steve doesn't like you.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's not hard to get. So, but if we do like you, we take you on as a member and we're bringing in a friend. Who the hell doesn't want to communicate with their friends? So the first thing you've got to do is make sure you're communicating with people that you get on with. Now, if you're looking for that celebrity, as I said to you before, you're going to get a few a-holes in that pyramid there to the person you want. So there's going to be some of these people that you don't resonate with. You've got to go, hey, hang on a second. I do apologize. Someone's just come to my door. I'm going to call you back. I'm sorry. Hang up. Phone someone different. Phone someone that you can resonate with and go, hey, thank you for taking the call. I've got something I want to talk to you about, and it involves your charity. I've got something about your location. This is what I was looking to do. What needs to happen for that to happen? Okay? So never ask a question that they can answer a yes or a no unless yes or no is the answer you want to hear. And be prepared to hear both. Okay? So always ask an open-ended question where it gives you the chance to go back in. But be that person that you are. And this is the stupid thing, communicate with them, because you said, are we born with it? Or, you know, is it something that we can learn? We are born with it. And as school goes on, it's taken out of us. And then we look at Instagram and Facebook and go, well, I can't be successful because I don't drive a Ferrari. That guy does. You know the picture on Facebook, the guy's just stood next to a Ferrari and doesn't even own it. Or if he does own it, I remember a friend of mine that owns... he actually owns something stupid like about 20-something private jets. And he says, no one with a private jet will ever post a picture of them sitting on a jet. But it's the people that rent them, it's looking, oh, look at me, I'm just on my private jet. It's that kind of thing. And so you've really got to get to the communication to understand people, find out how real they are, find out the percentage of BS, get to the root of it, and communicate at that grassroots level. I have no care what your business card says. I have no care how much money you've got in the bank. And I care that you are real, authentic, and I can communicate with you. If I can't, just on those final bits, we're not in the same circle. Period. You're out.
Okay, I see. So let's talk about success. I mean, you mentioned money in a bank, and many people somehow associate success with money. That's success equals money, which I don't think is correct. And since you've met so many successful people, what is in there apart from the money that unites them, that is in common, and that sort of illustrates success as per se?
I'm very fortunate with the people that I meet, and it gives me goosebumps. I'm like a 10-year-old girl at a Justin Bieber concert when I meet some of these people. I'm kind of, oh wow, I can't believe I'm here, shaking hands with the Pope or Richard Branson or Elon Musk. It's just incredible, and I've never got over that excitement and that zest as a little kid. But I heard from Warren Buffett once, and he said that you only get rich once, but you've got to focus on being wealthy. Now, this is one of the richest men in the world. And I was like, what does that mean? Surely if I've got $1 million in the bank, I'm rich. If I've got $10 million in the bank, I'm richer, But I know a lot of very rich people that are poor. And it did suddenly reveal itself, because I get to see all of those people begging to get on the red carpet. And then I get to see those people actually on the red carpet. And then I get to see those people inside the private event. And I actually get to see the world behind the curtains. Sometimes it's actually quite scary. I've seen celebrities upset because they're following a bigger celebrity on the red carpet, and therefore they're not getting as many photographs. And I've seen them crying in the toilet because of that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I've seen that side of the world. I've had people send me checks from their kids' trust fund account to go to a Hugh Hefner Playboy party, because that's important to them, And so you do get to see a different side of the life. Wealth is simple. Are your kids fed? Are they warm? Are they safe? Is your wife loved? Is she warm? Is she safe? Is she fed? If you can basically say, yes, you've got enough gas in the motorcycle and you've got enough whiskey in the closet, that's wealth. It doesn't matter how much more money you've got. If you're sitting in the backyard grilling burgers with friends that know you and actually have a relationship with you, then suddenly winning the lottery is not going to change that moment. It could buy you a bigger house. It could give you financial freedom, but it's how you envisage your life and the value in that life that actually shows you where you're wealthy. And I've met poor people who are incredibly wealthy, and I've met billionaires who are crying and poor. I had another client, I was in Palm Beach, and we were planning this trip, and I was speaking with the husband, and then the wife came into the conversation because I hadn't been getting the answers I needed. And he was on tablets and because he had heart palpitations. And I said, oh my God, what's going on? He's very stressed at the moment. And I said, why is he so stressed? He's trying to buy a larger plane. And I said, just so he's stressed out. Don't you already have a plane? She went, yeah, we have two. Why do you need a larger plane? He wants it. So just the absolute desire of this was affecting his health. I don't care what world you're in, that is stupidity. Okay? So I just couldn't understand that. I even spoke to the client and I said, hell's wrong with you? And I put it in slightly firmer language than that. But, you know, I do think that people need to look at what is rich and what is wealthy. We all need money, guaranteed we need wealth better.
Oh, yeah. That's for sure. So I know many people who, even if they meet people who are not as famous or as successful as the people you have met, they would definitely sort of, you know, lose themselves and not be so humble and down to the earth and, you know, the way you are. So what kept you away from this danger of drifting completely away and losing this magic of being yourself?
I didn't. I screwed up. I got, I think it was early 2000. As I say, again, to repeat, from East London, I was a guy in a black T-shirt with earrings riding around on motorcycles. Then when I got to like the 2000, I've been doing Bluefish for like about 6 years. I suddenly had a Rolodex with some really, you know, powerful people. I started doubting myself. And doubt is a cancer that grows, and you have to cut it out. You can't cure it. You can't cure cancer with tablets. So I started, I remember I bought a Ferrari, okay, because successful people had Ferraris. I started wearing tailor-made suits. And do you remember I said earlier that, you know, my success visual went up, but my actual interaction and my money went down. And I couldn't understand what it was because now I looked good. You know, no one looks bad in a beautiful Ferrari, and, you know, tailor-made suits make even chubby me look good. So, you know, I thought stuff was happening right, but I suddenly started realizing I was actually pushing myself away. What I did was there was this party that I always used to go to, and now I wasn't having as much fun, and I didn't know why. So I thought, I'm just going to go and check it out. So I didn't put a suit on, put a black T-shirt on, jumped on a motorbike, went to the party, and I'm in the corner of the bar because I thought to myself, surely the party must have changed because it can't be me, you know? And I got in there, and by the end of the night, I had all my old friends back around me. We were chatting, and one guy turned around to me, and I remember this. Now, I'd been in this party every month for about the last 3 or 4 months, but I'd been, you know, getting into these Ferraris and the suits. He turned around to me and said, hey, Steve, I haven't seen you here for ages. Now, he'd had a few drinks in him, but I suddenly realized I hadn't actually been there. The persona that I was trying to create was actually there. Sold the Ferrari a week later, got back in the black T-shirt and bikes, and that was it. So I did lose myself, and I was very, very fortunate to have been able to have found myself back at that time. Everyone goes into business, and the first thing they try to do is they try to design a website and a logo and a brand that's unique, okay? The trouble is they're ignoring the fact that the second they were born, they were unique. So focus on you, because you are the brand, you are the logo. People buy Mac because of Steve Jobs. People buy Microsoft because of Gates. People buy Tesla because of Musk. People buy stuff because of the personality behind the brand. Okay? So be that brand. Be that unique person that you already started being. Again, before you got diluted by school, education, Instagram, and all the other crap.
Okay, interesting. You mentioned self-doubt. I would like to go back to that. You basically were buying stuff and drifting away from who you were, probably in order to fight back that self-doubt. How did you end up sort of, getting rid of it eventually?
There's I laughed because I did this. I did a speech on this. When you see a lot of authors go on stage and they've written a book, there's an aha moment in their life. It usually happens because they lost a member of the family or they were involved in a terrible accident. There's something very physical that's happened to them, or they had a tumor, or they overcome a certain disease. There's this big thing that happens in their life that causes them to change track. So I was at a party in Monaco, and I was working with Ferrari. Okay, so I'm in one of the richest places in the world. I'm on a 3-story yacht with millionaires and billionaires. I've got a Ferrari parked outside, and I'm working for the largest iconic auto brand and probably luxury brand in the world. Life's good. Okay, I got off the boat and I had this Ferrari. We actually moved this Ferrari back away from the yacht because there was another yacht next to it that was bigger. Okay? And I got a photograph taken of myself leaning against the Ferrari in a suit with the backdrop of this yacht. Okay? And then we got in the Ferrari and went home. And everything was cool. I'm thinking that's great. Now, this was back, 97. Okay? So in the years where you used to have to send off your roll of film and then you get it back a month later. I remember, you won't remember that. You're only 25. But
I look maybe, but I'm not.
Well, good for you. Good for you.
I may become your client next year when I turn 40. So.
Oh, 40! Wow. You shouldn't have said that live, but there you go. So
it's okay. I'm being myself. You said I should.
You should. So I sent off this roll of film. Months later, I get these films back. And I'm looking through the pictures. And there's pictures of us having fun in Monaco and doing all this. And then this picture actually came up of me in front of this yacht. And that was my aha moment. Because I was on a massive yacht, beautiful white power yacht, 3 stories, millionaires and billionaires. But in my head, this wasn't good enough for the picture. So I'd moved the car to somebody else's yacht that I had nothing to do with, wearing a suit that I thought would make me look better. And that scared the crap out of me. Quite simply, I got drunk that night, woke up in the morning, I was still in my office, the picture was on my hand, and I turned around and I went, I ain't that person. And so I actually made a conscious, I put all of my suits, I put them in a storage bag, zipped them all up, vacuumed them out, put them in storage. I didn't have a single jacket or suit in the house. And so I decided, no, that's it. And it's like anything. It's like diet. It's like working out. It's like learning a new language. The best time to do any of those things is now. So when I looked at that picture, I went, that's not me. And I'd actually amassed a bunch of watches. I had bought a bunch of high-end watches. I started selling them. Literally that day, I went down. I went, okay, I've got these 6 watches. And I went home and I bought a motorcycle. And so that was it. So I just made the conscious decision that this was the day SteveSims came home.
Yeah, I mean, I think your whole success is based on the fact, apart from the relationship and human connections and all that stuff, which is amazing. And I mean, that's definitely one of the main things. But it also comes from the fact that probably when people are having success and have loads of money, they realize at some point that it's always better when you spend on experiences rather than things, because basically that's what they come to you for new, fresh experiences they didn't have before. So, what do you think? I mean, why? I personally haven't heard of that type of concept or that type of business that, in terms of direct competitors to you, so to speak. What do you think sort of, held people away from that? What is it sort of, something that is hard to do? Is it risky? Why never people get into this type of completely maybe weird and crazy stuff?
We're naturally scared. As a species, we're scared. We walk past a bush, it rustles, we're scared. And I think people are scared of the unknown. And the trouble is, because I'm one of the only people in this kind of world that kind of gets the media and gets that kind of stuff, people look at it and they go, I can't do that. And they see me walking down the red carpet at the Oscars with Elton John, or they see me with Elon Musk, and they go, I can't do that. They don't remember that 25 years ago, nor could I. I had to get to know this person who introduced me to this person, who introduced me to that person, who introduced me to that person that fell down there. And it's just this climb that you eventually get to the top. Now, when I go to someone now and I speak to a celebrity, well, I don't talk to a celebrity. If I need to get a hold of a celebrity for something, I call one of my other celebrity clients that either I've worked with or is a client. I get them to make the phone call and say, Steve's going to call you in a couple of days. So they've already got a credible response. Now, you can do that now. If you've got someone in your network and you want to get hold of someone, reach out to that network and say, hey, Billy, can you let them know that I'm not flaky and that I'm real and that I'm going to reach out to them in a couple of days and to take my call or my text or my email or something? You can do that by leveraging the relationships you have. Be prepared that those people will ask you for leverage. So you've got to be comfortable that the person you're dealing with is someone that you would vouch for. But they see me, and they always say you only ever see the tip of the iceberg. They don't see all the shit. They don't see the fact that I went broke a few times. They don't see the times where I had companies trying to sue me, people trying to rip off my clients, ex-employees trying to set up their own company. They don't see all of that. You only see the pretty stuff. And of course, this social media, you don't see a picture in the morning of someone with a bunch of bills going, oh my God, I cannot pay the electric, or do I pay the electric, or do I feed the kids? That's never going to be a posting on Facebook. They're going to show you a picture. They're always going to show you a picture in a bikini. I did a posting the other day, and it was Steven Tyler, and it was on my Instagram thing. And Steven Tyler told me this, and I said to you before that I'm educated now only because I've become educated by the people that I speak to. Most of the stuff that I learn, if not all of it, is because I want to ask. And anyone on this podcast now that's watching this has that same yearning. They want to get smarter. They want to get more fulfilled. They want to experience things. That's why they're listening to this podcast. So I remember speaking to Steven Tyler, and I said to him, it was 2 years I'd seen him at Elton John's Oscar party, and we partnered with that under Bluefish. And I said to him, this is great, getting to walk down the red carpet and stuff. He said, everyone sees you walk down the red carpet. They don't see how far it took you to get to the red carpet. And it just kind of made me go, you got a point there. No one sees the shit. No one ever fell up a hill. So that's the bit you don't get to see. And I think a lot of people, it scares them, and they see the big elephant. And they go, well, you can't eat an elephant. You can, bit by bit. May take you a long time, but you can do it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And why do you think is that? Why people love to exaggerate their successes and achievements and never speak about failures? For example, I don't know. I mean, I spoke with James Altucher. He definitely is not hiding anything, and he definitely is putting out there all the failures, all the hard times, and everything else. So we do know that behind the scenes, we know that it wasn't so easy, etc., etc. But usually, people are not like James Altucher. So people prefer to hide that part, and sometimes they prefer to exaggerate their achievements as well. Even if they've done something tiny, they want to show it in a more impressive way, or all these photos on Instagram from the right angle and all that stuff. So, and I think that's that's why we are getting this wrong impression. That's why people are looking for shortcuts, for magic buttons, for all that. I mean, people were approaching me about, how did you get this person or that person? And I'm like, hey, do you know that because of the time difference, I had to interview at 4 a.m. or 3 a.m.? Would you do that? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, then,
Yeah.
it's never a really straightforward thing. And usually, let's talk about this. Usually people think that it's a journey from point A to point B. But sometimes we do get pivots, and sometimes we end up somewhere we never planned to be or never imagined to be. So which was like probably the most unexpected and biggest twist in your life?
For a start, I've got to give a shout out to my boy James. I know James, and he's a cool, twisted, slightly mad cat. So I like James. So, boy James, how are you, man? I think you're right. The shortest distance to anything is straight. I don't know how many straight lines I actually have in my life now. To get to A to B, you usually have to go via Z. There's been a number of times where I've done something with a contract. This is the one I hate. This is the one I hate. You do a deal with an event, a group, a celebrity, something like that. And there's people that gravitate around these people that they say are there to protect them, but they're there to basically kill any enjoyment, any benefit from the relationship. They're the naysayers. They're the gatekeepers. And so you do something with XYZ celebrity, and then you go and tell someone, and then you get a legal letter going, I'm sorry, sir, you can't use his name. I said, well, okay, I told him that I did this with this. That's a fact. Yes, but you can't say his name. I said, but it's a fact. Yes, you can tell people you did this, but you can't say who you did it with because you're not allowed to physically mention his name. And you get those kind of things. And again, as I said to you before about paying $5,000 more than the client paid me, you learn those things. And that education hurts, and you get home and you get all twisted and bent out of shape. But then you turn around and you go, all right, okay. I now know the next time to do it to make sure it's A, in the contract, B, I signed no contract. You can't go against the contract if you haven't signed a contract. You just got to educate yourself from those things. But like most things, we as humans, we learn things the hard way. So every time, and we've done it before, I've sat down with my wife before and I've gone, well, hey, I wish we hadn't have gone broke then. I wish we hadn't have lost this then. And then you go, yeah, but when you lost that, you went after this person and you got that deal, which got us over there. We wouldn't be there if we hadn't fallen down there. And then when we fell down there, you went over there. I guarantee you, if I hadn't have lost everything a few times in my life, I would not be sitting here speaking to you from Los Angeles.
Okay, then let's talk about that part. Very often when someone loses everything, or when someone is in this dark place where it's the self-doubt and lack of acknowledgement and all that stuff piled up on you, many people do get broken, and they really have big challenges of getting back on the feet and trying again. Many people do give up. That's a fact. Like, more people give up than are those who continue. So what kept you move forward? What kept you get and stand up, back up on your feet?
So this goes back to my childhood, I think. And I think now that you've exposed your age to us as well, we shared the pre-social platform generation. When we were kids, if you wanted to message one of your friends, you knocked on their door, so which
was so much better, I think.
Well, you formed a relationship. Yeah. But we were in that era. And I remember my dad, and again, construction family, Irish, and something had happened. And I remember my dad putting his hand on my shoulder, and he put his hand and he went, "No one ever drowned by falling in water, son. They drowned by staying there." And then he took his hand off my shoulder and counted. And I don't know, maybe I was 13 years old, and I just remember going, what the hell was all that about? You know, my God, my dad's so stupid. And it went. And I remember as a kid in a poor family, if we had a new car, it meant that it was within 15 to 20 years old. Okay. That was a new car. It was just new to us. And I remember feeling how poor we were until I was in my 30s and realized just how wealthy we actually were back then. Because I never wanted for anything. There were never any tears in my sneakers or my jeans. I was safe. I was fed. I was secure. I got to school on time. And I didn't realize that. And then that's when some of the other Simsisms came in to my life. And I remember that drowning aspect. So when shit hits the fan, and when people are on top of you, and when everyone's telling you it ain't going to work, that's when it works best. So you've just got to basically, hang on, George, say hello.
Hello. Hey there. Hello.
He's going off to school now. See you later, mate. Bye. So, just got off to school. You've really just got to, at that moment in time, go, well, is this it? And again, I'm talking to everyone out there that's listening to this. We don't lay down. We don't fall over. The fight's not over when I go down. It's when I stop getting up. And when the shit's hit the fan and everyone hates you and you got lawsuits and you got bills and everyone's piled up on you, that's the time when you just go, okay, do I like being here? And the answer is no. But the difference between an entrepreneur and a non-entrepreneur is the entrepreneur will go, okay, what do I need to get out of it? And the beauty about where we are now is that we can reach out to people. We can go, look, you got to tell me, John, I've got this shit. I'm not looking for your money, but I'm looking at how I get out of this. You know, have you ever had this experience? Now, there's lots of social networks on Facebook, clubs, entrepreneurial clubs. You don't have to pay, but join those clubs. And when you say, oh, I'm having problems, someone's trying to hack my website, who's a good resource? This guy's a good resource. Oh, I've got this going on. I've got to launch a book. Who do I talk to? This guy's a great. We've now got the ability on these forums to ask questions. I remember the first time I went broke, it was the end of the world. Oh, how the hell do you get out of this? Then when the second time happened and it was completely different circumstances, I was like, well, hang on a minute. That shouldn't have happened. But I remember that I spent so much time focusing on that the last time that you can't do anything about that. It's one of these things that you just get out of a lot quicker because it was you that got yourself out of it the first time. And there's nothing more empowering knowing that you were the one that actually got you from A to B. You may have gone via Z, but you got to B. And quite simply now, today, I list it quite aggressively. If I lost everything tomorrow, A, I'm only losing the money. But I've got a network, I've got my name, I've got my brand, and I've got me. And as long as I wake up in the morning, I've got an unfair advantage to win. And it's that mentality.
You're going to have the book. And you're going to have the book soon. Do you want to share what we're going to read soon from you?
Yeah, October, it's on Amazon. It's called Blue Fishing, The Art of Making Things Happen. And I've really just put in there my stories of what I've got up to, how I started, and how I handle them in a very primitive manner. And that's so quite simply, anybody out there, East London bricklayer, anyone out there now, I'm telling you, is far smarter than me, can do. And this can help you with your relationships. It can help you with your vendors. It can help you with your clients. It can help you with your kids. So I put everything in there that just says, look, I wanted to get a client married in the Vatican. Quite simply, that's just a relationship. Yes, the Vatican's a massive great elephant, but what were the steps that I needed to do to complete that? And how can you use that in your life? So that comes out in October, but it's on Amazon now. Shallow plug.
Oh, it is already. Okay, so now I know what's going to be my next treat. So I don't want to take advantage of your time. So I will try to wrap it up. So my last question is, put yourself in your client's shoes. What is the dream that you want to be fulfilled for yourself?
Oh, right. Okay. I've had that a couple of times, that question. It's the classic, what's on your bucket list? All right, so I don't want to disappoint and end this on a sour note, but I am the most boring person in the world. I get to live. No. My clients are exciting, and I get to live vicariously through them. So I get to travel the world doing these amazing things. But for me, I told you before about flipping the burgers in the back garden, drinking good whiskey, and talking to your friends. That's me. I just want to chill. I want to know my family's going off to school. I want to know that in the morning and the evening I get to hug my family. Yeah, that's what's in it for me. I class myself as incredibly wealthy, love riding motorcycles, but I am actually, I'm sorry to say, quite dull. But I do love getting on a plane. I do love that tingling feeling of just looking at the map and going, where am I going next? And then just going and visiting a city that I've never been to before, meeting people I've never met before, and getting a perspective that I've never had before.
Okay, so then I'm going to conclude this by saying that you are living your dream, and not because not because of the business and people you meet and you're friends with and all these big names, but because you can flip your burgers and drink whiskey and meet your friends.
There you go.
Okay, so guys who are watching, we're wrapping this up. I'll take a few more minutes to talk to Steve, but you're not going to be able to watch this thing. So we're done. Bye-bye.
Bye.